gamify projects to make use of some of the products we are going to create at the fusion, like gaming characters using
Mm-hmm.
AI.
Yeah.
You could just generate a character using AI, and automatically it becomes integrated into the game without some coding process
Mm-hmm.
required for all of that to be achieved. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest spot in the crypto market, even today, just like it was in the last bull season, is still within the DeFi and the NFT
Mm-hmm.
sections of the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Is from diffusion. Yeah, totally agreed. Like you said, the DeFi NFTs and also the combinations of AI and the GameFi is also very could also be worth noting in the upcoming future in the Web3 world. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing. Is all right, so before we move to the next question, let's have our second lucky draw for today. All right, so let's process. Wow, great. I get 20 beans. So hope you guys all get lucky. All right. So since we're talking about the current market, so speakers, do you think there are any notable shifts in terms of investor behavior and the sentiment during this bull market? Hey, Mahai, do you have any thoughts about the investors and the sentiments?
Sure. Sure, I have some insight that I've noticed. So, one driving factor this bull market will be the implementation of secondary markets, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
you are able to buy granular allocations in bigger projects. For example, let's say I don't know A16Z gets a ticket
Mm-hmm.
in say for like 50 million, right? Or like you
Mm-hmm.
get a ticket as a large VC in Bera chain, right?
Yeah.
Minimum ticket 1 million. Right now, you are able to sell that, right? You are able to sell that afterwards
Mm-hmm.
on secondary markets and make them available in smaller chunks. So, if, for example, if I want to buy that allocation, I will be able to get it, at a negotiated deal. I will be
Mm-hmm.
able to take part of the success story of that project, which wasn't
Yeah.
possible before because the criteria was like so big to enter, and the strategic side required again like so high. Even as as crowdfunding VCs, as community VCs, were not able to do it, right? I mean, there's no community VC that can pull like 1 million ticket, and even
Mm-hmm.
if they do, the project is likely not to accept it because they're afraid the guys will dump and so on. But you know, maybe if you get like 2 million, maybe you want to sell 100,000, and some people will get in, even if it's like at a higher valuation.
Mm-hmm.
And this will drive like bigger and bigger liquidity in these markets.
Yeah.
This is like the perfect time to start this.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of sentiment, generally nothing new, I'd say. It's just that um, given this situation right now with the people being able to contribute in more projects, they want to have a portfolio similarly to how you have it in the traditional world, right? You want to have a bunch of blue chips that you want,
Mm-hmm.
even though they will be at higher valuation
Mm-hmm.
than originally. Yeah, it's starting to be more regular, easier to join, right? It won't be only degen plays. People want to somehow build their image as
Mm-hmm.
good investors. They want to play with portfolio management. They want to play with all these things.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the liquidity will find its way everywhere. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think the people want to have more and more stake in everything possible, regardless if it's bigger valuation, if it's a small ticket, they want to be able to show like a passport, right?
Mhm.
Like the social identity you can build with your how to call it, soulbound token, right? It will
Mhm.
be the same with your portfolio in investments. They want to see, okay, I'm this sort of guy, this sort of guy. I want to do this. I want to do this. Yeah, it's again tying into the social narrative. Wanting to belong to something, or wanting to be against something, to be like a
Mhm.
maverick and stuff like that. So that's
Mhm.
what I noticed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mahai, from Sapphire X. Yeah, I think one thing you mentioned about the sentiment is the investors they are going to build their own portfolio. I think it is also important for individual investors. So do not put all of your eggs in one basket. So yeah, so just do your own portfolio. Like put part of your money or your token in terms of AI, in terms of DeFi, NFT, or the blue chips, and so I think building a good portfolio is very important for both investors and individual. For the institutional, also individual investors. Yeah, thank you, Mahai. All right, so next, let's hear from. How about let's hear from East from Diffusion. Hey, East, please go ahead.
Please, can you just repeat the question?
Yeah.
I
So
missed it.
do you think they're adding like notable shifts in terms of investor behavior and sentiments during this market?
Okay. Well, it depends on the side you're looking at. If you're looking at the retail side of the market,
Mm-hmm.
though there are some shifts, but I don't think it's that notable. Though it's significant, but some patterns that played out in the previous bull market and even in the bear season, those patterns are still playing out. Take for instance, meme coins. There are still people who love to trade meme coins.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, meme coins, the thing about meme coins is they lack fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
They are just short-term projects. They are short-life projects. You don't see
Mm-hmm.
a meme coin that lasts for years, you know, except
Mm-hmm.
maybe you want to count the likes of Shiba and
Mm-hmm.
Doge and, those types. But meme coins are still trending nowadays. So that to me indicates there has been no shift in that side of the market. It is still the way it is. But then, um, that notwithstanding, there are retail users or retail traders that you know they
Mm-hmm.
like to do their due diligence before going into a project. They like to
Mm-hmm.
check the team behind the project, the track record of the team, the track record of the project itself. The history of the. They like to do all the necessary checks before putting their funds into a project. And then coming to the institutional side of it,
Mm-hmm.
I think most institutional investors are going into ETFs nowadays. And
Mm-hmm.
this may be the reason why lately there is this push or expectation that we are going to see an Ethereum ETF launching on any of the platforms one of these
Mm-hmm.
days. Although that I think depends on how fast regulators give their approval. But for institutional investors, I think for them they would rather go through an ETF than coming through the regular exchanges or
Mm-hmm.
decentralized platforms for trading.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think the thing again, in crypto, most times we like to focus on the retail users, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because these are actually the main drivers of the industry, the retail users. So for the retail users, like I said, well, some still don't mind flipping a meme coin or a shit coin. They still don't mind flipping those coins so long they do it well and they do it safe and they're making their profit. But
Mm-hmm.
there's also a massive rise, I believe, of people who are more interested in long-term projects that are solid, projects that are creating something with a use case, not just these days, if you go out there, you will see AI projects launching every here and there. You see different projects trying to launch something called an AI initiative. It could be
Mm-hmm.
maybe a project trying to launch an AI tool for trading, an AI
Mm-hmm.
tool for making on-chain analysis, an AI
Mm-hmm.
tool for portfolio management. There are many of them out there these days. But there are also unique AI projects that are creating tools that are going to be useful not only within the crypto market but even outside the Web3 industry. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, for instance, what we are trying to do at the Fusion, we are trying to create
Mm-hmm.
tools that are going to be useful for content creators.
Mm-hmm.
All right, whether graphic designers, whether artists, filmmakers, we are trying to create sophisticated AI tools that are going to be useful for all kinds of users, whether
Mm-hmm.
from the web through, whether from web two or from web three. We just want to make sure our products are useful to everyone, not just narrowed down to the crypto space alone. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So such kind of fundamentals, this is a very strong fundamental to have. You know, such kinds of fundamentals are what I believe investors are looking for. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they are looking for such kinds of fundamentals. So yeah, there has been a shift, but like I said earlier, um, some are still trading the way they used to trade because it has been paying off over the years. But some also are beginning to become more calculative, more cautious, and more careful in how they throw their money into projects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Is. From diffusion. Yeah, yeah. Totally agreed with you that the AI will be a very important part of Web3 in the upcoming future. And also, since you're talking about the meme coin, yeah, I think you are right. Some people, the meme coins now are pretty hot. A lot of people are trading it, and lots of new meme coins projects came out and gone. So. Yeah, so it is pretty interesting, but please be careful with the new meme coins. Yeah, you just do your own research before you invest. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Is. All right, so next let's welcome Chuck from Polyflow. Hey Chuck, please go ahead.
Thank you. Sure. I myself actually come from a traditional finance
Mm-hmm,
background in an investment bank for many years. And we are now finally seeing, as I mentioned earlier, greater adoption from institutional investors. And I don't mean, the crypto native institutions.
mm-hmm,
I mean, the traditional finance, Wall Street type of institutions are
mm-hmm.
actually coming in. With
Yeah.
the BTC ETFs, a lot of money are actually pouring in here.
Mm-hmm,
And with that scale, we're actually starting to finally see in the traditional finance world the divergence between the focus of retail investors and the institutional investors. Just
mm-hmm,
like Yves had mentioned earlier, that your retail investors are, still focused on some of the, chasing returns
mm-hmm,
that are a little more lucrative, but at the same time a little more risky. Whereas the institutional investor,
mm-hmm,
and that's quite easily understood. But what
mm-hmm,
I want to note is that based on the projects that people are deploying capital against, these
mm-hmm,
projects are getting to be more and more focused on utility.
mm-hmm,
Earlier, we had mentioned AI, we had mentioned DePIN, we had mentioned RWA. All these are driving for greater adoption for the regular people of the world into crypto, and that is actually mostly about utility.
mm-hmm.
Whereas in the earlier crypto world, I think most people are chasing returns mostly based on speculation. And frankly, meme coins is a very good
Yeah.
example of speculation driven returns. Not saying that it's bad and that it doesn't exist. And a good amount of speculation is actually needed in order for people to innovate and to drive forward
Mm-hmm,
in a particular lane. But in the end, I believe things like AI, DeepIn, and RWA, these guys are all chasing more after real utility. And by that, I mean if people feel like the service that you provide is useful,
mm-hmm,
and they're willing to buy this service because it creates a convenience for them.
mm-hmm,
And I think that's real value that can be scaled and can be pushed, because if
mm-hmm.
something is based purely on speculation, it can only go so far. I think we need a healthy combination
Yes.
between speculation and utility value,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can push a particular project forward. And hence, we at Polyflow are kind of focused specifically on utility,
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't matter who you are, but be it GameFi, DeFi,
Mm-hmm.
exchanges, everybody needs to manage crypto assets. We need to either send or transfer or do whatever it is that
Mm-hmm.
facilitate the exchanging of assets between hands. To a regular user, it looks like, hey, I connected my wallet, or here's money from my account and I'm just giving it to somebody else to buy something. But
Mm-hmm.
the actual transaction underneath is a lot more complicated, and there are a lot more steps.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to create convenience for the actual operators, doesn't matter if it's DeFi or GameFi, if
Mm-hmm.
we can create convenience for people and
Mm-hmm.
make the actual transaction cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
then and that is a real value. And then at
Yeah.
the same time, for our liquidity providers, if we are able to provide them, hey, it used to be that you paid a user paid transaction fees for some third party service.
Mm-hmm.
Now with our platform, that transaction fees is actually now your DeFi yield.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who's providing liquidity for us in our liquidity pool is now able to get DeFi yield. That also is a real value. And that yield is not based on speculation, it's actually based on service provided in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
transaction. Right. So I believe in terms of the investor world, they are all more focused on real utility provided, just like what AI and deepin
Yeah.
RWA is provided. So that I believe is a main focus
Mm-hmm.
for this particular cycle.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much for sharing and very great insights, Chuck. Yeah, so totally agreed. Like when the ETF passed, there are lots of traditional institutional investors, or we also call the old money, comes in the Web3 world, and they will absolutely bring some changes in the industry. And of course, the utility will be a very important factor to be considered. Yeah, thank you very much, Chuck, for sharing. All right, so thanks everyone for sharing all those very great insights. All right, before we move to the next question, let's have our third lucky draw for today. All right, let's go. All right, great, uh, great. All right, let's continue our conversations, speakers. Let's back to your projects, speakers. So from your opinion, so what new opportunities have emerged in the current bull market, and how can your team take advantage from them? And also, if there are any difficulties on your tech side or in terms of your operation that your project is facing right now. Hey, Is, do you want to share with us first?
Okay, sure. So the challenges, opportunities rather,
Mm-hmm.
for us, is the thing about the markets we are targeting first and foremost is that it is a market that has already been there. Even before the advent of Web3, like even before we begin to see the emergence of AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, and a host of others,
Mm-hmm.
the internet already has, should I say, a segment of people that are into different kind of content creation, from artists to filmmakers,
Mm-hmm.
um, visual content creators, comedians, all kinds of creators have been on the internet, right? And prior to this time, most of these guys have had to use tools that were not as advanced as the kind of advancement you get with an AI, software. So For us, our target market, has always been there. The opportunity for us has always been there. The creators we want to draw to our platform, they have always been there. The artists we want to draw to our platform, they've always been there. So for us, that's like the opportunity we see right now, um, in this bull market, right? If
Mm-hmm.
we can attract them to come to our platform, like right now, I think the last time I checked, we have over 100,000 users on Diffusion. And
Mm-hmm.
this is for a project that launched in just some month ago, right? We have over
Mm-hmm.
100,000 users on our platform. And I think the number of images that have been generated, the statistics is over a million. I'm sure it must have gone close to 1.2 million or more than that right now, but it's over a million. So the opportunities that I said we have for us as a project is always there. It's not something that emerged or that began to exist because of the bull market. The bull market only gives us, should I say, a perfect timing to launch as a project. It only
Mm-hmm.
gives us the perfect timing. But the market we are targeting, the opportunities we are trying to grab,
Mm-hmm.
that opportunity has always been there for us. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
for us, the only way we can take advantage of them is, like I said earlier, in the intro, our objective is to keep on creating as much AI tools, that are
Mm-hmm.
going to be useful to those who are into the things we want, that enter the things I mentioned just now, into content creation. We just want to keep on releasing as much AI tools as possible. In our last tweet, I don't remember right now, but in our last tweet, we listed 4 features that are being created right now as we speak. We have
Mm-hmm.
4 more features, unique features that are being created. So the more we push out this kind of product into the market, I think it's going to bring us closer to achieving our objective of attracting
Mm-hmm.
creators to diffusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for sharing all those insights from diffusion. Is yeah, thank you very much. All right, so next let's have Chuck from Polyflow to tell us more about their opportunities and their difficulties encountered like currently. Hey Chuck, please go ahead.
Sure. And I think we had mentioned earlier about these new opportunities, specifically regarding AI. And for us at Polyflow, we would like to, bring forward the concept of PayFi. Everybody's heard of GameFi, everybody heard of DeFi, but
Mm-hmm.
I think for us, one of the opportunities going forward, especially in this particular cycle
Mm-hmm.
of generating greater adoption, is this new concept of PayFi,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, people have been dealing with DeFi for the longest time, so I'm not going to go into too much